Listen to Trump's Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, explain this perfectly.
We're setting the stage for long-term economic growth, that we were on our way to a financial crisis. I used to teach a history of financial crises, and with that gigantic government spending, it was unsustainable. You look back in 1998, you look back in '07, right before it looked great, everything collapsed. So, it looked great right before everything collapsed. So we have taken us off that trajectory, and we are putting ourselves back onto a sound trajectory.
That's the problem that's essentially infected all of our politics. Nobody wants to touch the hard thing. They would rather keep the party going, keep the money flowing as long as they can, and pray that the inevitable crash doesn't happen under their watch. That's it. Like he mentioned with the dot-com bubble crash or the great financial crash of 2008, all the writing was on the wall that this was going to be an issue. But stock markets were surging. Everybody was making money. The housing market was booming. Nobody wanted to touch it and stop it because it would be politically unpopular. But everybody knew that the fundamentals were there that were unsustainable and would inevitably lead to a horrible disaster. And the Democrats aren't mad at Trump because, there's some short-term turbulence. Why they're mad at Trump is because he actually had the balls to do it. They know his plan is going to work, and if the American people see that it works, they will never ever vote for Democrats again. And that's what they're scared of. It's the same thing with Doge. They don't care about the workers being fired. They don't believe that he's going to cut Social Security and all these services. They're scared that it's going to work and the American people are going to see that the government has been stealing from us for the past 80 years. Listen to Chris Murphy, basically the most Trump deranged senator there is, explain how Donald Trump's tariff plan isn't actually an economic plan. It's something far more sinister than that.
Trump's tariffs that he announced last night, it's not economic policy, it's not trade policy, it's a political weapon designed to collapse our democracy. Last night, when he released his tariff plan, economists were really confused because they looked at the numbers, they looked at the formula. It made absolutely no sense as economic policy, as a means to try to bring jobs back to the United States. That's because it's not trade policy, it's not economic policy. The tariffs are another tool for President Trump to try to compel pledges of loyalty, this time from companies and industries in the United States. You have to understand that everything Donald Trump is doing is in service of staying in power forever, either him or his family or his handpicked successors. He's trying to destroy our democracy.
The trope is so old, it's so tiring. Anybody with half a brain has to be able to see through this garbage. How is Trump trying to destroy democracy? By bolstering American manufacturing, by bolstering American middle-class jobs. He wants to see companies stop relying on Bangladeshian and Vietnamese and Chinese slave sweatshop labor and actually bring their manufacturing back to America, pay people a solid wage, and sell the product in the greatest market on earth. But somehow that's a threat to democracy. The Democrats, they're so desperate. They're so angered that somebody is actually challenging the status quo of the deep state, of the swamp that has infected Washington, D.C. since after World War II. I made this point to somebody the other day who was talking about, oh, there's no waste in the government. In the last 60 years, the United States has spent some $80 trillion on top of our $36 trillion debt. You're talking about $116 trillion being spent by our federal government. Don't you think we should have streets paved with gold, the most modern public transit, the best public K through 12 education? Don't you think it's silly that we have homeless people after spending all that money? We should be living in a clean and shiny utopia, but we're not. You know why? Because they've been stealing all of that money.